Chapter 476, Chen Guo's Resentment. Self-made equipment practically only belonged in the pro realm. In the heavenly domain, an orange equipment was already considered an extremely rare equipment. Anyone who possessed an orange equipment wasn't any ordinary player. The probability that they survived in a chaotic situation was high. Deception couldn't be compared to an ordinary scrap picker. His eyes were sharp and venomous. Whenever he moved out, he would usually have a clear understanding of the situation in front of him. He would notice the equipment on every player and their health. Compared to a normal scrap picker, he was more selective. Even so, an opportunity to one-shot one-kill an expert with an orange expert was extremely rare. As a result, even if he really wanted it, he rarely got the chance. Deception refused to call grabbing and mercilessly killing the target like what Lord Grimm did as scrap picking. This was stealing. What dropped? Everyone wanted to know the answer to this question. Deception wasn't an exception. A lame necklace, Yi Shu said. Lame. No matter how lame it is, it's still an orange equip. Did you think I didn't see it? Deception had a very strong urge to give him a stab, but he stopped himself and calmly asked, "It seemed like an orange equip." Yeah. Trash, Yi Shu said. What do you want? Deception's voice was trembling a little bit. I want a weapon, Yi Shu said and then added, you want a weapon, right? What? Deception was confused about question. I wasn't talking to you. Yi Shu was obviously asking Chen Guo. From the start, he had been very serious. He had really been planning on helping Chen Guo get back her dropped weapon. He didn't even feel ashamed to ask Chen Guo which excellent dynasty launcher had good equipment. After all, Chen Guo had been in excellent dynasty for a long time. The guild leader and core members might not recognize her, but she certainly recognized them. She pretty much knew which guild members had what dazzling equipment. Right now, Yi Shu was like a bandit, asking her who had good equipment. Chen Guo suddenly felt like a villain. Her resentment towards Excellent Era wasn't fake. It had been very painful seeing her weapon drop too, but she didn't feel too happy getting it back by stealing from someone else. Excellent Dynasty's members were all normal players too. Excellent Era might have kicked Yi Chu out of the club, but that had nothing to do with these players. It's not like they knew the truth. They would still jump out and support Yi Chu. If they were to take out revenge on Excellent Era, it definitely couldn't be done by acting against the normal fans. Chen Guo was going to refuse to answer him in the beginning, but after she thought about it again, she suddenly blurted out a name, Golden Fragrance. Golden Fragrance was already one of Excellent Dynasty's core members now, but when Chen Guo had joined Excellent Dynasty, she still wasn't one yet. At that time, she was also just a fan who liked Excellent Era a lot. She was a very ordinary guild member. She was a lively and outgoing girl. People tended to like her. Golden Fragrance was very easygoing. She would go with whatever team was there wherever she went. Everyone was happy to have her join. Any equipment she wanted went to her. Even though Chen Guo was also a girl, but she had turned independent early in her life. She was on the older side too. Outside of the game, she was an owner, while in-game, she had the air of a big sister. She also liked Golden Fragrance and happily welcomed her. In particular, Chen Guo's Chasing Haze and Golden Fragrance were of the same class. Of everyone she had played with Golden Fragrance a lot. This didn't really mean much. But once she regarded everyone else's welcome as a given, it was quite immature of her. There were many girls in the guild who also played launcher. They were clearly influenced by Su Mucheng. As a big sister, Chen Guo gave them an appropriate amount of care. In a dungeon, she would give priority to the other younger sisters. In the guild's fixed dungeon teams, the distribution of items was done by the team captain. This was something everyone agreed on. No one objected to Chen Guo's actions of taking care of the younger ones. Golden Fragrance, who everyone took care of, snatched a piece of equipment that she had the right to take. The good-hearted team's preferential treatment gave her unwarranted qualifications. It was certainly an eye-opener for Chen Guo. Chen Guo wasn't like Yi Shu, who could just laugh and not think much of it. At that time, she called out to Golden Fragrance for her to give her an explanation. But Golden Fragrance didn't even bother properly discussing with Chen Guo. She just cried and privately told countless players her sorrows and gained their sympathy. In the blink of an eye, Chen Guo turned into a tyrant in the team and other players' eyes. This description fit well with Chen Guo's personality. Golden Fragrance's actions were a huge success. With Chen Guo's personality, there was no way she could do the same, running to others and crying. In the end, she challenged Golden Fragrance to a duel. This was how the men decided on issues, but Chen Guo liked it. She was too lazy to go into a verbal battle with a younger sister. Even though duels weren't absolute, they put an end to the matter. It was a very common way of deciding on issues. But for this manly method, Golden Fragrance actually found men to participate in the duel for her. This girl, who hadn't been in the guild much longer than Chen Guo, was used to having this sort of princess treatment. Chen Guo obviously wouldn't retreat from any opponent. It's just that the players Golden Fragrance had found were experts in the guild. Chen Guo went forward in battle, but lost. Chen Guo wasn't someone who couldn't take a defeat. If she lost, there was nothing she could say. No matter how arrogant or condescending the opponent was, she would bear it. Chen Guo wanted to leave the guild, but she felt unwilling to. By being with a club guild, she would have the opportunity to play with her idols. Many people had joined the guild for this reason. Chen Guo's support for Su Mucheng and Yi Chu triumphed over her resentment over that little girl. Chasing Haze stayed in the guild as Golden Fragrance continued to play the part of a princess in Excellent Dynasty. Golden Princess wasn't a nickname Chen Guo had come up with. Who knew when this nickname spread? Chen Guo really liked it. She felt that it suited her well. In Excellent Dynasty, there were quite a few who were annoyed by Golden Fragrance. However, the number of people who liked to spoil her were a lot too. Just like this, she moved her way up to becoming a part of Excellent Dynasty's core. Core members were vastly different from normal players. Core members could be considered as employees of the club and surrogates for the team in-game. When Chen Guo initially joined, she also wanted that status so she could get closer with the team she supported. At that time, when Golden Fragrance became a core member, many people in the guild objected. This girl was a spoiled brat. Chen Guo really couldn't understand how people could like such a girl. Is being a spoiled brat an art form? Chen Guo thought it was because of this, but she wanted to vomit whenever she thought of it. Being a spoiled brat was something Boss Chen could never learn. It had been several years since this. But Chasing Haze had always been an Excellent Dynasty, and Golden Fragrance was a name that could never be erased. Chen Guo had to admit that even though she lost, she wasn't willing to accept it. She could never see Golden Fragrance in a good light. Even though Chen Guo heard that she was no longer like the princess from before and that she took care of others like a big sister, Chen Guo just felt like it was obvious. As a core member, why would she need others to give way to her? With her status as a core member, this was already a given. Today, Yi Shu suddenly asked her which launcher in Excellent Dynasty had good equipment, as if he were going to take it. Chen Guo originally didn't want to say it, but her mind whirred and she blurted out Golden Fragrance's name. There were lots of Su Mucheng fans in Excellent Dynasty, and thus, there were naturally many launchers. More than one core member was a launcher. Golden Fragrance's equipment couldn't be considered the best among them, but if her items dropped, Chen Guo wouldn't feel bad. She would actually feel quite good. Thinking of this, Chen Guo felt somewhat ashamed. She felt like she was being petty. But after seeing Lord Grimm wandering around and seriously looking for Golden Fragrance, Chen Guo immediately turned hopeful. She realized that this was a dream of hers. She really wanted to see the look on the Golden Princess's helpless face after being bullied. This mission was something Chen Guo felt that Yi Shu could accomplish. Chen Guo had been thinking like this the entire time. On the other hand, Yi Shu was only carefully looking at her, but not moving. He waited a very long time until deception had been caught. His movements were like a pro's. Deception was hitting Golden Fragrance under the team's protection without any retaliation. He even ended it by kicking her face into the dirty. Such a scene made Chen Guo extremely happy. Petty is petty. Why be so kind? It's not like I'm a saint. That instant, Chen Guo let go of her morals. However, her laughter revealed Yishu's Lord Grimm. Chen Guo had went closer to Yishu's screen to admire Golden Fragrance's embarrassing pose and then burst out into laughter. I didn't get a weapon, just this lame necklace. Yishu reported his results to Chen Guo. Not bad, not bad. Chen Guo was very satisfied. Her goal wasn't Golden Fragrance's equipment. She just wanted to see Golden Fragrance eat sh*t. Do you have some sort of thing between you two? Yishu clearly saw something. It's a long story. Is killing her once good enough? Yishu asked. Chen Guo hesitated. After thinking for a bit, she asked, will she come back? Tisk tisk, what poisonous thoughts? Yishu sighed. What did you say? Chen Guo was both angry and ashamed. Don't worry. It's no pressure. You're a friend. I won't judge you, Yishu said. Quote. But what? But if the people knows that I was the one to kill them, do you think they might feel proud? Yishu said. Chen Guo was speechless, but she had to admit that it was a real possibility. Chapter 477, Gap. After discovering Lord Grimm's traces, everyone in the guild began getting excited. Lord Grimm was their priority. Deception was just a side gift. The three guild leaders were also very excited. They had the map of Wilderness Town opened up on their screens. After asking for his coordinates, they immediately pinpointed his location and began making arrangements. Don't rush. Form a steady encirclement and slowly shrink the circle. He won't be able to run, Changing Spring said. Golden Fragrance's team was from Excellent Dynasty. The ones chasing behind Deception were from Herb Garden. Blue Brook Guild's troops weren't directly involved yet, so Changing Spring could see the field in a calmer manner. Right, it looks like he doesn't plan on logging off, so we'll just accompany him until he does, Arisema added. Why did he jump out all of a sudden? Changing Spring asked. I heard he took down Excellent Dynasty's Golden Fragrance, Arisema said. He really wanted to see Chen Yuhui's expression. Was Lord Grimm attacking Excellent Dynasty? Before, when he broke through the encirclement, he had killed off a launcher, who was also one of Excellent Dynasty's. This time, he killed off another launcher and a core member of Excellent Dynasty at that. Thinking of this, Arisema and Changing Spring opened up a private chat between the two of them. Yichu seems to be aiming at Excellent Dynasty, Arisema said. Now that they were conversing in messages, Changing Spring spoke in a simple manner. He was even too lazy to type out punctuation. Seeing this reply, Arisema turned furious. Their Herb Garden and Blue Brook Guild were originally enemies. He also hated Changing Spring's bad habit. Right now, he didn't want to deal with this guy, but then he quickly realized that he didn't need to deal with him. As long as his guild benefited from this, why would he need to talk to Changing Spring? Thinking of this, Arisema closed the chat window. He was calculating whether or not there would be an opportunity to sit on the mountains and watch the tigers fight below. In any case, Lord Grimm had to be killed. Whether or not they or Excellent Dynasty killed him didn't matter. He really didn't mind if Lord Grimm could take a few bites out of Excellent Dynasty in the process. Make sure there aren't any gaps. Don't be too excited. Make sure you figure out Lord Grimm's intents, Arisema quickly ordered. On the streets, Lord Grimm and Deception were both running madly. The pursuers behind them were chasing after them. Anyone who was in range to attack them wouldn't hesitate to attack them. But these didn't matter too much. As Lord Grimm ran, Yishu was talking to Chen Guo. Deception was focused on listening to see if he could figure out anything from eavesdropping. But after hearing Yishu say, do you think they might feel proud, Deception couldn't stop himself from coldly making a HMPH. Who do you think you are? Deception actually said this to Yishu. I'm someone who almost got surrounded and died, Yishu said. Deception was annoyed. Twice, Yishu even added. I'm going my own way, Deception decided. There just happened to be another intersection ahead. Deception turned right, but Lord Grimm also followed along. Don't follow me, Deception said. You really are a genius. There are 3 possible directions which we can go. 2 of those directions have people. You moved in the 3rd direction, telling me not to go with you. Why didn't you go in the direction where there are people? Yi Shu said. Quote. Make a left turn up ahead, Yi Shu said. Deception ignored him and continued forward. Yi Shu didn't care and his Lord Grimm turned left. But it hadn't even been 3 seconds, when Deception rushed back over. Don't follow me, Yi Shu coldly said. Deception wanted to cry, but no tears came out. It wasn't that he wanted to follow him, it was just that he didn't want to die. He was having a hard time bearing Yi Shu retaliating tooth for tooth. Deception halted and turned his head. Wow, young people these days sure have attitudes, Yi Shu said, but he also had his Lord Grimm turn back. Why are you following me? Deception countered. I'm a realist, Yi Shu said. What? Deception didn't understand. There's more people that way, Yi Shu explained. Deception wanted to cough blood. He couldn't describe how he was feeling right now. There were 5 players blocking their path forward. They seemed to know the 2 were strong. Seeing the 2 of them rush at them, they didn't rush forward to meet them. Instead, they immediately stood still in position and prepared to face them head-on. Deception saw an empty building up ahead and ran towards the entrance. What are you planning on doing? Yi Shu asked. Deception didn't explain and continued into the building. Yi Shu didn't have Lord Grimm go in. He stood outside the building and laughed grimly. He counted 1, 2, 3, but there were still no movements. If you don't come out, are you planning on dying? Yi Shu lazily asked. Deception slowly walked out embarrassedly. How did you know there were no windows in that building? Deception asked. Look at the map, genius, Yi Shu remarked. There are labels on the map, Deception was puzzled. An online map from outside the game, are you a noob or an expert? Yi Shu said. Expert, Deception replied with confidence. Get ready to fight, expert. The 2 may be talking, but their characters weren't moving slowly. In a short amount of time, they entered the 5 enemies' attack range. The 2 didn't make the first move. They were waiting for an opening first. If the opponents didn't move, then that would be great. They could just run past them. From this, it could be seen that Deception wasn't a noob. He clearly had a lot of experience at running away. The blockers wouldn't just let them pass. As the 2 got closer and closer, 2 of the blade masters in the team moved. Blade lights flashed and both of them slashed with a sword draw. The blade lights intersected and flew towards them. They were both from the same guild and the same team, so their coordination was quite good. Even though their coordination wasn't as good as pro teams, everyone learned from them, so even if it wasn't amazing, it was at least decent. The Blade Masters duet was one form of strategy for 2 Blade Masters. As one of Glory's most popular classes, whether it was in-game or in the pro scene, it was a common sight. But when the blade lights fell, they only destroyed a clone. Deception had jumped back and used a shadow clone technique. His hands were quick and the skill came out on time. They hadn't even realized that he had left his clone behind, while the real one had passed them. Deception turned around and saw Lord Grimm, who was a bit slower than him, but it looked like he was just strolling idly in a park. Deception didn't think he used any skills. Could he have just strolled past them like that? Deception didn't want to believe it, but it was the truth. Yi Shu's Lord Grimm had ran over in this way. The 2 Blade Masters had thought that their blade lights had connected with Lord Grimm. Who knew how, but he went right through their blade light and then ran past them. Shock. It was because of shock that they reacted slowly. If not, they would have reacted to Deception's shadow clone technique. But Lord Grimm just went right through the blade light and went past them. They hadn't even thought that was even possible. How did you get past them? Deception was curious. I ran, Yi Shu replied. How did you run? Like this, Lord Grimm ran a few steps to show Deception. Others might think Lord Grimm was just playing around with him, but Deception immediately saw through it. It was rhythm. It was a simple movement, but it had a rhythm to it. By utilizing the different in rhythm, he deceived the enemies. The enemies thought their attacks had hit, but there was actually a minute difference between the attacks. By using the difference in rhythm, he dodged the attack. The theory was this simple. The theory might be simple, but actually doing it was a completely different beast. It wasn't just simply having a good grasp of one's own rhythm. The opponent's rhythm had to be completely grasped too. This was decided by the stats, equipment, skill level, and the player's actions. Seeing through this in an instant wasn't simple. Was it by luck? Deception couldn't believe there was such an expert. The danger hadn't passed yet though. He didn't have time to think about it more carefully. The two could chat like this, but it would be too easy to get distracted if he thought too deeply. If he got distracted, it would be likely a mistake would occur. Bumping into a tree while walking wasn't something that only happened in real life. After breaking through the 5 players blockade, there might not be anyone blocking them in front anymore, but it just meant that there were more pursuers behind them. Let this brother give you a few lessons. I'll teach you what to do in this type of situation, Yi Shu said. I've gone scrap picking countless times. What haven't I experienced before? Deception wasn't modest at all. You've definitely never experienced our current situation, Yi Shu said. And you've experienced it before, Deception said. Brother, in the 10th server. You don't feel any shame talking about which server you're from, Deception interrupted him in disdain. Brother, in those days. Who doesn't know how to talk about that past? Deception continued to look down on him. Brother, have you ever entered the heavenly domain at level 50? Deception couldn't reply back. He wasn't able to make a comeback. Entering the heavenly domain at level 50 was something he had never thought about, but the person in front of him had done it. He was running with him at level 52 and had caused such a ruckus. In reality, when Yi Shu said the 10th server, Deception believed him. Someone who could create such a storm at level 52 in the heavenly domain would certainly bring disaster wherever he went. Deception was just saying that. As soon as the guilds saw Lord Grimm, they immediately pounced on him, ignoring the great and famous scrap-picking king. It had made a deep impression on him. He had always thought he was someone who could immediately make the guilds go from calm to angry, but now it looked like that was just the surface. The guilds may have been scared of him and guarded against him, but they had never made such a large movement in order to kill him. To make an entire leveling area turn into such a mess, was this guy some sort of F***king boss who only spawned once a year? I have to observe him carefully and see where the gap between us is. Deception thought. Chapter 478, A Good Lesson. Let me give you a good lesson. Deception was planning on figuring the gap between them himself, but hearing the other side speak, it seemed like he was going to directly tell him where it was. Deception suddenly felt unwilling now. He recognized that Lord Grimm might be more skilled than him, but it didn't mean he was willing to take his advice. Even more so, this guy was acting as if that was the way it should be. There wasn't the slightest bit of modesty in his words. If this wasn't the only direction he could go, Deception would have split up with him a long time ago. No matter the circumstance, carefully observe the situation. Gathering valuable information should be the first thing you do, Yi Shu said. No **T, Deception wasn't going to take his advice. You already know this? HMPH, Deception felt like this question was too stupid. He was too lazy to reply. How could he not know this? Whenever he went scrap picking, the first thing he would do was understand the situation clearly before moving. He wasn't like other scrap pickers, who just blindly charged in without any plan. No. You don't know this. You don't even know which buildings have windows, Yi Shu said. That Deception stared dumbly. He didn't think he would go there. There was nothing he could say either. He really hadn't known about it. Isn't it very useful to know which buildings have windows? Yi Shu asked. Yes. But you don't know. Quote. Information is very important, Yi Shu instructed. Everything was all very sudden. I didn't have time to prepare, Deception made an excuse. You just have to open up a map on the internet. If you don't how to even do this, then it means that you're not regarding information as important enough. I'm used to playing on full screen. Deception himself didn't think this was a good reason. Ha, Yi Shu laughed, but didn't say anything. Deception's ninja blade slid out slightly from its sheath, but Deception was able to stop himself. Right now, we need to escape from these guys, Yi Shu said. No, really? Deception had calmed down a lot. This time, these two words were just said as a sarcastic reply to the statement. There wasn't any energy behind it. The first thing we need to do is escape from their line of sight, Yi Shu said. Obviously. Do you know why we have to do this? Yi Shu asked. So they can't see us, Deception said. Are you an elementary school kid? Can't your answer have a little more depth to it? Yi Shu said. And your question has so much depth to it, Deception remarked sarcastically. Our goal is to not let them find us. Not letting them see us is simply to create a space which we can use to accomplish this, Yi Shu said. Haha, how deep, Deception sneered. Then do you know where we can find such a space in our situation? Yi Shu asked. This question was a bit sudden. Deception had no idea. The answer is intersections, Yi Shu answered. F***ck, Deception felt like he had been tricked. Once they turned around the corner, their pursuers wouldn't be able to see them. It was such a simple matter, but he just had to make the question so unnecessarily complicated, saying stuff like space. It sounds like you don't understand what I mean, Yi Shu sighed. What I mean is at the intersection, when our pursuers lose sight of us, they'll scatter. At a two-way intersection, they'll split into two. If it's a three-way intersection, they'll split into three. By doing this, we peel away our pursuers layer by layer. Oh, Deception stared blankly. By finding more intersections and making more turns, it would be easier to shed off pursuers. Deception knew about this concept, but he had never thought of why it made it easier to escape. It wasn't a difficult concept to understand, but only after understanding it was it possible to deduce many things from just this. The intersections was just an example of space. The point of space was to make their pursuers lose sight of them in order to force them into having several options. Understand this. You have to plan when you're escaping too. You have to make it your goal to shed off pursuers. Do you have a plan? Yi Shu continued. I do. Tell me your plan, Yi Shu said. Head north and jump into the river, Deception said with difficulty. His plan was just a general direction. It wasn't the type of detailed plan Yi Shu was talking about. But he had to prove that he had a plan. Your plan isn't bad, Yi Shu replied in a dull tone. Okay, from this intersection onwards, follow me closely, Yi Shu said as he made a left turn at the intersection ahead. Deception didn't say anything. The guy talked about a bunch of theory, but would it even work? If the people behind them were their only pursuers, then Deception wouldn't need to know this theory. He would just run around in circles a few times and completely escape from them. The problem was that the people behind them were not their only pursuers. There were others elsewhere. After the pursuers behind them told them of their location, more people would gather around to their location. They might shed off a few pursuers, but more would come to fill up the gap endlessly. This was why Deception hadn't been able to break through the encirclement. Right now he wouldn't say anything. He was going to see if this guy's theory would actually work in practice. Left turn? There wasn't anything special about that. He knew how to make a left turn too. Deception followed along and made a left turn. Go in. Right after making a left, Lord Grimm immediately went into a building on the side. This building had windows. They went through the window and out onto another street. Deception admitted he didn't know there was a window there, but the other side was relying on an online map to know this. If he had an online map opened up, he could make the same decision too. After going through the window, they flipped onto a tall wall. Wilderness Town wasn't just a town with proper streets everywhere. There were small alleyways too. And with the word town in its name, it was obviously not as elaborate as a big city. In reality, most of this leveling area was in the wilderness. The town was just a small corner of the map. It was because of this that the three guilds were focused on this place. As time went on, more and more backup would arrive and escaping would become even more difficult. Deception just followed behind Lord Grimm and didn't talk, quietly experiencing their route. It wasn't over a wide area, but there were a lot of twists to it. In addition, they weren't running their fastest the entire time. In some places, Lord Grimm would stop and wait. The other side didn't say anything, so Deception wouldn't ask. But he was already able to tell that Lord Grimm wasn't simply running around in circles to hide from their pursuers behind them. He was hiding from every single one of their pursuers. It was as if he knew where their enemies were. Is that even possible? Deception was amazed. It wasn't that Lord Grimm never encountered any enemies. However, they had never fallen into a trip like Deception had fell into several times before. During these 3 minutes, they hadn't fought with anyone. As soon as the enemy saw them, they would immediately choose a different route, flipping over walls, going through windows, running through alleys. Their seemingly random route had goals to it. There were always options to choose from whenever an unexpected event occurred. The concept of space wasn't just to create choices for the enemies. It was also leave choices for themselves. Deception was beginning to understand. However, in order to do this, having a good grasp of the terrain was crucial. This was information Deception hadn't thought was important before. What do you think? Yi Shu suddenly spoke. Meh, Deception was still very stiff with his words. But you're at least safe now, Yi Shu said. Is that a joke? We still haven't escaped our enemy's encirclement. We're still in it, Deception said. Oh, you've been paying attention to our pathing? Yi Shu asked. Quote. Have you already noticed that you're already out of combat? Yi Shu asked. Deception was surprised. He just realized that he was out of combat. He could simply log off and he'd be safe. You can log off now, Yi Shu said. And you? Me? I haven't thought of leaving. I still need to continue scrap picking, Yi Shu said. Quote. You're still not going to log off? Yi Shu glanced at Deception. Are you perhaps interested in scrap picking too? That's my strength. This was something Deception was confident in. If he said he was the number 2 scrap picker, no one would dare call themselves number 1. You're still green, Yi Shu disapproved. Quote. It looks like I need to give you another lesson, Yi Shu said. Deception was about to explode from anger. Someone actually dared to give him a lesson in scrap picking. He thought it was too hilarious. That's not called scrap picking. What you're doing is called peeking, Deception corrected Yi Shu. Haha, in reality, it's hard to avoid thinking of peeking to get items as a scrap picker. It just depends on if you have the ability to or not, which is why you can only sit and wait for an opportunity, am I right? Yi Shu said. Of course you're not right. To put it simply, scrap picking is a way to obtain lots of equipment quickly. If you go peeking one by one, how could that be more rewarding than scrap picking? Deception said. Not as rewarding as scrap picking? If I go to a leveling area and kill whoever I see in one day, do you think I'll get more equipment from peeking or do you think you would get more equipment from scrap picking? Yi Shu asked. You. Peeking all day, you're a demon, Deception said. He realized that with his comparison, scrap picking wasn't as rewarding as peeking. Scrap picking required waiting for an opportunity to appear. For peeking, you create your own opportunities. It was very easy to create one too. You just had to attack a person. Scrap picking isn't any better. Peeking requires some skill at least, Yi Shu said. No, that's not right, Deception argued, but he couldn't say what was wrong. What's wrong? Scrap picking is probably even more immoral than peeking. If nothing else, it's because scrap picking is more passive. But in reality, from a wishful thinking perspective, your scrap picking is also a type of active playing, no? Your end goal is equipment, so what's the difference with peeking to get it? Yi Shu said. Rather than being a dirty scrap picker, it's better to just jump out and kill everyone. Chapter 479, Self-Defense Counter. Self-Defense Counterattack, start. No, that's not right. Deception felt like Lord Grimm's reasoning was completely skewed, but he couldn't find any holes at the moment, so he could only mutter weakly. Of course it's not right. Whether or not you're peeking for items or scrap picking, none of them should be encouraged, Yi Shu said. Then what was the point in saying all that? Deception stared. I was helping you understand that occasionally scrap picking isn't too shameful, but scrap picking professionally is just as shameful as peeking for items. Plus, the efficiency between scrap picking and peeking is completely different, so not only is scrap picking shameful, it's second rate. If you treasure your time in your life, I suggest using the time you use to pick up scraps to PK for items, Yi Shu said. Deception really was about to cough up blood. Where did he get treasure your life from? Then why are you scrap picking here? Deception didn't let up. That's just something I said. Then what are you going to do? Didn't you see me defend myself? Yi Shu said. Self-defense? You can log off right now, so why aren't you logging off? What self-defense? Deception remarked. Why should I log off? I have to defend myself. If they kill me, I kill them back. I'm a man. There's no need to explain, Yi Shu said. Deception was just about to log off, but he stopped himself. This F***CKER. Isn't he saying that if I log off, I'm not a man? I'm a man. Most definitely. Why aren't you logging off? Yi Shu asked. I'm a man. There's no need to explain, Deception said. Yi Shu laughed, but didn't say anything more. Lord Grimm stuck out his neck from behind a wall to look around and then quickly retracted it. There seems to be a lot of people in this team, Yi Shu said. What team doesn't have a lot of people? Deception glanced and saw 10 or so people together, a very normal team. 5 or less is easier to deal with, Yi Shu said. Why? Because I've done more research on this number, Yi Shu said. Research what? Deception asked. How to kill them. Demon. Deception was dumbstruck. Someone who studied how to kill a team of 5 all day. If he wasn't a beast, what was he? Jump up and see if there's anyone above, Yi Shu directed. Deception acted quickly. In addition, he didn't need Yi Shu to tell him to be secretive. After jumping up, he stabbed his ninja blade on the wall and used it to quickly take a look above. No one, Deception said. That means there are only these 10 people. How do we get them to split up? Yi Shu muttered to himself. Rush out. I go left and you go right. They'll have to split up to chase us. You're familiar with this map. Plan out a route. After escaping from them, we'll meet up and attack back. Deception wasn't someone with no suggestions. It's not good, Yi Shu denied it. Why? What if they don't split up? Yi Shu asked. How could they not? Deception didn't completely say the word not when he suddenly stopped. He recalled how the others had immediately ignored him after seeing that Lord Grimm was there. It was very likely they wouldn't split up. Should we go on the roof first? Deception suggested. It's not a good option. If we have options, it's best not to go up on the roof. It's an open area making it easy for them to see us, Yi Shu said. Let's go here first. Deception turned around. Deception followed. A few steps later, they went into another building. No window, Deception discovered. Go to the second floor, Yi Shu said. It was a 2-storied building. The second floor had a window. Lord Grimm went to it and only exposed half his body, while telling Deception to hide. From this window, he could see the street below. The team of 10 people stopped at the intersection for a bit. After looking around, they split into 2 teams. One team went forward, while the other 2 headed towards them. One step, another step. The 5-player team walked outside of the second floor door and stopped. Go in and take a look, one person in the team said. 2 people entered the room to look. Deception understood what the other side meant by giving them more options. Even an entrance to a room could be used, not just an intersection. It was just that they didn't seem to have any choices right now. Apart from the window in front of them, they had no way to escape. If they went out through the window, they would land in front of the other 3 people. Now we can only go on the roof, right? Deception said. Why run? This is a good opportunity to attack back, Yi Shu said. The footsteps below could be heard. Soon, the 2 players were walking up the stairs. Focus on one. Yishu didn't speak. He switched to using messages. While they were running, the two had created a party. Deception quietly took out his ninja blade. As the footsteps grew nearer and nearer, the heads of the two players could be seen sticking out from the stairway. The one on the right, Yishu typed. Lord Grimm had already thrown a grenade over. Deception wasn't slow either. When he saw the message, he immediately used a storm sword. This was a sword buff. Only ninjas could learn this skill. The spinning blade spun in circles as they flew towards the player on the right. Deception also followed after it. Smoke and flames exploded. Lord Grimm's grenade had set off. The air from the explosion split the two players apart from each other. One of them was sent up, while the other was sent down. The player on the right was then hit by the storm sword. Deception closed in and stepped on his shoulder. He jumped up and while landing, he swung the rope back to use a neck binding technique, forcing the player onto the second floor. Everything happened in an instant. When Deception dragged the player onto the second floor, the one on the left hadn't even finished rolling down the stairs. Seeing one go up and the other go down, Deception started thinking. Was that intentional? Was it even possible to time a grenade that precisely? The grenade just happened to be between the two players. A low-leveled skill with many uses. The air of a great expert. Deception thought, but his attacks didn't stop. He turned his head and saw that Lord Grimm wasn't helping him. He was standing at the window, watching the scenery. What are you doing? Deception was angry. It's a hard-to-come-by opportunity, so why aren't you taking it? And you call yourself a killing specialist? Lord Grimm immediately turned around and fired twice. Then, he turned back to watch the scenery again. The two shots seemed like a half-hearted response to Deception's shouts. Deception was furious, but these two shots were very accurate. His movements had been extremely quick, yet the two shots didn't miss. Are you done looking? Deception attacked quickly. Even though it was only a one-on-one, that player didn't have any way of fighting back. The player was pushed to the window, almost getting knocked outside. Whoa, be careful. Don't push him out. Lord Grimm used a knee strike to send the player back. Hurry up and attack. Deception was worried. The other side didn't only have one person. The other side had 5 and the 4 could come and assist him at any moment. Okay. This time, he finally got the response he wanted. Lord Grimm had finally come out. Even though the damage he did as a level 52 was very limited, it was still faster than not doing anything. With the two working together, the player quickly died. Pa! An equipment dropped onto the ground. Deception was just about to pick it up, when he saw that Lord Grimm was still looking out the window as if he didn't care about the equipment. Deception suddenly also stopped. What are you looking at? Deception was curious. What was there to look at? The stratagems once said, if the enemy's power is not revealed, then there might be traps. Therefore, one should not take the enemy lightly. One should try to figure out as much as possible about the adversary. To do so, one can fake some attacks to force the enemy to reveal their cards, just like baiting a snake out of its nest. Do you understand? Yishu said. I'm going to stab you. Is that okay? Dodge, Yishu yelled as he jumped out the window as well. F***ck. It was a bit sudden. Deception hadn't thought of doing this and followed after him. There was quite a lot to see out the window. There were many people moving about, heading towards this direction. Lord Grimm pointed his gun downwards and fired anti-tank missiles. 3 missiles shot out. Deception watched as the bullets as they flew through the air. How accurate. The 3 anti-tank missiles headed towards that building's entrance. The team of 4 were still through the entrance to the building. Lord Grimm used the recoil from this attack to stay in the air longer. The roof across the street was lower than the second floor's window. By using aerial fire, he was able to directly go across the entire street. Deception's ninja couldn't do this, but after blasting the 4 players below with anti-tank missiles and gunshots, they were in complete chaos. Deception landed without any problems. It was just that when he looked around, he could see many running in this direction. Deception didn't dare delay. He climbed up onto the roof. Lord Grimm was already ahead of him by a bit. Faster. Hearing Lord Grimm urge him to hurry, Deception increased his speed. Their running was very frantic. Going up and down, many of the places required a certain level of skill to reach. Deception didn't have time to look at their route and didn't have any time to ask any questions either. It wasn't easy keeping up. He couldn't help but think of the difficult trials from the Heavenly Domain Challenge. At first, Deception heard a lot of "kill him" or "over here," but soon afterwards, the voices gradually quieted down. Then, they went out of combat again and escaped once again. How unfortunate. We could only kill one. It was only until this moment when Deception caught up to Lord Grimm did he heard him sigh. Even though Deception wasn't running in real life, but he felt his arms and legs weaken after doing this. One reason was because he had been nervous. Another reason was because he had to put in a lot of inputs while running about. He seemed to understand that the instant the two began fighting, the other side immediately called for backup. That guy had been standing at the window side looking below from up above to see where the enemy backup was coming from. After gathering the information necessary, he was able to create a route to break past the pursuers. It was terrifying and dangerous. In any case, if it was him, he would have definitely gotten trapped. Deception didn't doubt this. Our self-defense counterattack officially begins. Deception had just thought he would be able to relax for a bit when he heard the guy make a declaration. Chapter 480, 1 minute of retaliation. Retaliate now? Where to? Deception was struggling to keep up. We have a pretty good chance now. Follow me. As Yi Shu spoke, Lord Grimm charged out of the dark, narrow alleyway. What? He escaped again. After receiving reports from their subordinates, the three guild leaders were outraged. They all used he instead of they in their sentences. Clearly, Deception was of no importance to them. After wasting so much time, he's only killed one person. Now he's disappeared again. He's not even logging off. What does he want? Changing Spring complained. Does he want to wear us down like this? Shouldn't he know better? This method might work in regular servers by slowing our leveling speed and affecting our progress in pioneering, but it would never work in the Heavenly Domain. Arasema analyzed the situation. Chen Yahui said nothing. His eyes darted back and forth in front of the computer screen. He had no idea what Yi Chu's intentions were at all. Yi Chu was perfectly capable of just walking away and leaving this entire mess behind. However, he stayed and was now playing hide and seek with them. Was this some sort of entertainment to him? He shouldn't be so immature. A top-tier god, looking for this kind of childish amusement? Deception also hasn't run away yet. They're back together again. What are they plotting? Changing Spring asked. Deception had become a person again. If they're not planning on leaving, then we don't need to spend so much effort on defense. Let everyone join the pursuit, Arasema suggested. To prevent the targets from escaping the area, the guild leaders used a large amount of manpower in the east and north of Wilderness Town. Now, since the targets showed no intention of leaving, they didn't need to waste their time waiting there. Just after Changing Spring and Arasema finished talking and were about to give orders, Chen Yahui suddenly received a new update. They've appeared again. Where? Changing Spring and Arasema yelled out together. In an alley someplace, three players from Excellent Era were on their way to check another alley, when they suddenly saw a shadow move. In a flash, Lord Grimm appeared in front of them. Ah, the three cried out in surprise. They didn't attack immediately and sent out a message instead. Lord Grimm didn't try to run away. Instead, he attacked. Sky Strike. The strike landed on all three of them, who were standing in a row, side by side. The one on the right didn't react fast enough and was thrown straight into the air. The other two jumped back hurriedly to dodge the strike, but the Sky Strike's animation had already ended. Falling Flower Palm. The airborne player was immediately blown away by the palm. Ninja Arts 100 streams. Countless water streams rushed out the small alleyway like vipers. Before the poor player could land, the water streams all rose and twisted into a water prison that incapacitated the player. The gray shadow of Deception dashed out right away. 3 shurikens shot out with a swing of his hand. The two other players tried to dodge, but Lord Grimm pulled a prank on them. The battle spear tapped once left and right, forcing the two others to stop. With 2 swooshes, each player ended with a shuriken in their characters. Ninja Arts Flame Cut. Ninja Arts Cicada Shell Double Slash. Ninja Arts Shadow Dance. The shurikens temporarily paralyzed their targets. Deception seized this opportunity and dumped 3 skills on them at once. Every skill was released with extraordinary speed. With the flames of the flame cut still ablaze, the double slash's silver flashes already sliced through both enemy players. The casting of Shadow Dance started amid the metallic flashes. With shadows dancing across the screen, all the attacks were concentrated on these 2. The 2 players were unable to defend themselves whatsoever. The continuous combos even knocked the 2 into the air. This was all from deception alone. Yishu's Lord Grimm wasn't slacking off either. Lord Grimm attacked and contributed his portion of damage within the storm whipped up by Deception. He matched Deception's attack patterns perfectly. Deception, on the other hand, did not really put the 2 in his mind. He was more interested in competing with Lord Grimm. Upon noticing Lord Grimm cooperating with him, he constantly switched up his rhythm. It was as if he had to trip Lord Grimm up to feel happy. Despite this, Lord Grimm even found time to send a smiley face, which popped out above his head. He had clearly detected Deception's efforts to throw him off, but he kept up with ease no matter how chaotic the rhythm was. His attacks stayed steady from start to finish. The player who was trapped by the 100 streams had no way of escaping. All he could do was keep sending out messages. The dancing shadows that filled the screen terrified him. His 2 buddies were no match for such offensive power. However, among the dizzying silhouettes, Lord Grimm's existence stood out unexpectedly clear. Every move and every skill was pellucid. The screen full of silhouettes melded back into one as Shadow Dance ended. Instead of running away, Deception didn't take a single step back. The final move appeared just like the case of Golden Fragrance. Deception manifested himself directly above the 2 players and crushed the 2 underneath with a bird fall. His attacks were far from over. Too strong. The 2 attacked players could not even begin to express their bitterness in words. As members of one of the big guilds, they never suffered so much at the hand of another player. If this had happened in the arena, then it'd undoubtedly be a complete victory for the opponent. A neck bind technique followed the bird fall. Deception's bread and butter combos and swift performance eliminated any chance the 2 might have had for a comeback. From start to finish, the 2 didn't even have a chance to show what class they were, because they didn't have a single chance to attack. Until now. Neck bind technique could only be used on 1 person at a time. By using it here, one of the players gained an opportunity to catch his breath. His face was buried in the dirt due to the bird fall though. He scrambled to get up, but was quickly smashed back into the ground. When Deception threw the other down, he had thrown the other right on top of him. The 2 couldn't even understand what was happening, when a grenade rolled into their field of vision. With a thunderous boom, smoke filled their screens. The 2 players had no idea where they were flying to. All they knew was that their HP bars were still dropping at incredible speeds. The opponent's offensive was still continuing. We're done for. The 2 had nothing but despair left in their hearts. They had given up on putting up any type of resistance. Unless there was some kind of outside help, they felt there was nothing they could do anymore. 30 seconds. During the entire half-minute, the 2 players had been kicked around, unable to put up a fight. In that moment, 100 streams time was finally up. The player, who was trapped, was finally released. The offensive that unfolded on his 2 friends was truly terrifying, but he could not bring himself to just abandon his friends. Screw this. Just as the thought emerged in the berserker's head, before he could even raise his broadsword, he heard a sudden bang and he was frozen to the ground. Spitfire skill, stun bullet. As the name implied, the target would be stunned after being shot. On top of that, to be able to have the word stun in its name, the stun state it caused was nowhere as short as the stun from Dragon Tooth and other related skills. This bullet stunned the target for a full 2 seconds. 2 seconds of stun was quite a long time. A single stun bullet could very well be the turning point in a battle. A stun could interrupt any attack. A stun was also the best chance for retaliation. For any gunner class, no matter if one was a Spitfire or not, stun bullet was a skill that everyone learned. For a short while, some people even thought it was a bug in the game. As a highly valued skill, it was analyzed thoroughly and received high precaution. If Stun Bullet really was untraceable, then it would really be a bug. Actually, even if it was as easily traced as normal bullets, it would have still been suspected to be a bug. In reality, Stun Bullet was slower than normal bullets. Additionally, it made quite a unique sound when it left the barrel. The bullet was also bigger than regular ones. Players caught up with the special characteristics of Stun Bullet quickly. With enough precaution, everyone learned to be wary of this skill. In high-skilled battles, like pro matches, Stun Bullet couldn't even be considered a direct attack move. There had to be a setup beforehand in order to land this skill. From the early days of PvP to now, Stun Bullet had become a support-type skill. The poor Berserker had clearly been careless. Although they all knew that Lord Grimm was unspecialized, none of them were attentive enough to figure out what skills and tricks he might have up his sleeve. Moreover, Yishu's strike was very well covered. He used the surrounding chaos to cover up the strike. The sound of the bullet was drowned out by the surrounding noise, and the fire that spit out of the barrel was hidden by the flashy display of skills. He had even calculated the duration of 100 streams prison. Even the Berserker who was trapped hadn't counted. He simply waited for the water prison to dissipate. He never thought he would be attacked while he was still inside the prison. This was because any damage to the water prison, even if it was from the person who released the skill, would shorten the duration of the water prison's bind effect. This unexpected and precise shot was calculated to the extreme. The water prison hadn't even disappeared yet when the bullet left the barrel. When the bullet arrived, the water prison had just disappeared. When the Berserker said, "Screw it," he might have even seen the bullet. However, he would have had no time to react at all. With an additional 2 seconds of stun, unable to do anything, he watched helplessly as the real Lord Grimm teleported in front of him with the shadow clone technique. His demise was about to begin. After receiving the discovery of Lord Grimm's location for about a minute, Chen Yahui received another message: 3-man team, wiped out. Changing Spring and Arasama had no idea about this news. They were still organizing people to raid the place.